More NASCAR content? For all the latest in NASCAR, including driver interviews, race recaps, fantasy NASCAR, listener call-in shows, and awesome giveaways, tune in to the Lap Traffic Podcast on iTunes, Podbean, or your favorite hosting site with new shows every Tuesday night. Check out Lap Traffic on the web, thelaptrafficpodcast.com, and follow on Twitter at LapTrafficPC. Don't get caught chasing the lucky dog. Tune in each and every week to the Lap Traffic Podcast. See ya!
With the ButtKicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. ButtKicker. The future is feeling.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, the drivers from the Full Send Racing Series get themselves prepared for one of the toughest short tracks of the season. We can't wait to give you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting for the America-made 200, presented by MCI Graphics. Here tonight at North Wilkesboro, drivers set for the elevation, the changes on how to go into turn 1, into turn 3, and hard short track racing. As we're on the countdown to the playoffs, we've got ourselves counting tonight 5 more races to go, and only that of 4 more slots open on who can make it in. And I can't wait for tonight because we got a lot of drivers with an opportune chance to get themselves a win. We've seen so many different winners as drivers are set up for qualifying, some taking the track right now. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Trevor Gerhardt. And Trevor, seeing that at the 68 on track, a driver that's found themselves in a victory lane already this season, but here at North Wilkesboro can be a little bit tougher.
Yeah, got the win Nick Holland did back at Pocono, but here at Wilkesboro, it's going to be a tough challenge for these drivers. Like you said, dealing with the elevation, going downhill into some of these corners, uphill at other points. It's going to be a fun night, tricky night for these drivers as these qualifying times start to come in.
Ross Tatum going to be currently top of the board. He was the fastest during that practice, wanting to keep with that pressure with an 18.878 across the line for that of Nick Holland on his last lap. Looked to be a good one. Only going to be good enough, though, for a 19.1. So going to be 0.2 off of our leader. Tonight, the drivers, though, is going to be race number 11 of the season. Half the field still getting themselves through qualifying. But, Trevor, what a seasons we've had so far. Last couple of weeks have been incredible racing. Think back to 2 weeks ago at Pocono, the white flag, the last lap chaos out of turn number 3. Last week, we got to see Chris Stitz finally get back into victory lane. But sadly, it's been Andrew Medlin who's been on the tail end of losing these times, and tonight makes it even worse for that 12 machine.
Yeah, Medlin unfortunately been so close the last 2 weeks. Thought he was going to have a really good chance here tonight, as he typically is really good at short tracks, but not able to make it tonight. Does have a fill-in driver, though. Christopher Norris filling in for him in that 12 machine in Norris right now. Second quickest in qualifying, so looking good for him, but unfortunately for Medlin, just not going to be here in person.
Andrew Medlin also, after last week's performance, did put him to 12th in points. That's the cutoff driver to make it into the playoffs. But with missing tonight, his +4 advantage will be bumped down to a really hectic climb to get back into that 12th place position for the next 4 races after that. But it gives a great opportunity for that of Kyle Carpenter in the 77 to get into our position to make it into the playoffs, as well as plenty of others, as see the 2-time champ of the 24 of Cameron Sarton. He'll come away second on the board, pushing down Christopher Norris and others. Ross Tatum continues to keep the top of the board, but here comes just 2 more drivers that are looking to have a chance to take the pole award, and here's one that looks to have the best chance. It's the 42 of Cole Sacchetti.
And Cole Sacchetti, one driver we always talk about, especially on concrete racetracks. That 42 is always quick. As he comes across the line for his second lap, he's going to be that of 4th quickest in that 42 machine, Sam. So not as quick as he probably liked, but still a good qualifying spot nonetheless for him.
Yeah, still a very good time for the 42 machine, and looked to be, was hoping for something a little bit extra. It was not there. Here comes the driver, though, that won earlier in the season at Auto Club. It's going to be that of John Dart in the 99, about to take his time, as well as another driver. That's going to be the 3 of Ryan Lynch. John Dart and Ryan Lynch, both drivers that are hoping to try to qualify instead of our top 15 if possible here this evening, as both of them are on lap number 1, about to set their first times. And really, at this current moment, they look to be at least just trying to set up for the maximum speed as you see the 3 staying high through 3 and 4.
Yeah, trying to get that momentum built up down the front straightaway, taking that high line out of 3 and 4 there. Down into 1 and 2. Looks pretty good for himself. Doesn't get really tight off the exit. Doesn't get loose. And same, that's going to be the key thing, not getting loose out of these corners in these trucks tonight.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing a lot of drivers wiggling that rear end. Here comes that of Ryan Lynch. John Dark going to be 12th on the board. The 3 machine, as his time clocks in, it's into the top 10. 9th for that of Ryan Lynch. We saw him set up for that last lap, and the setup was pristine, as he'll be starting inside of the top 10. A good time for that of Ryan Lynch. Well, qualifying is coming to a conclusion. Thank you again for everyone joining us on your Tuesday evening, getting to watch the Full Send Racing Series as the drivers and the trucks are ready to tackle this course here at North Wilkesboro. 23 drivers about to be heading into this very tough course where, again, drivers are going to be testing their skills on, one, how can you handle the exit of the corners, and as well, can you figure out your braking zones? We got fill-in drivers, we've got regulars, and here's how they're going to be starting out here tonight for the American-made 200 presented by MCI Graphics. Ross Tatum getting the pole award for the 21 machine with Cameron Sarton to his outside. Then it's going to be Christopher Norris filling in for Andrew Medlin in 3rd. Zach Hall going to be in 4th. Cole Sacchetti back out there racing after missing last week, going to be in 5th. Will Bustler in the 1, going to be in 6th. 7th, going to be that of Kyle Carpenter. 8th, going to be Jonathan Woods. Ryan Lynch in 9th, and Chris Stitz, our winner from last week, finishing at our top 10.
Nick Holland will roll off in 11th with Philip Chavez in 12th. John Dart in 13th. Bill Dart is going to be in 14th position. Brian Wilson in 15th. Doug Pierce 16th. Charles Hugel will roll off 17th with Austin Call in 18th. And Christopher Wade will be in 19th with Nick Gould rounding out our top 20.
21st is going to be that of Ken Campbell with that of Jonathan Casefier in 22nd. Steve Benjamin, who's going to be running race control, not going to be racing here tonight, but going to be in 23rd with Sam Siegel in 24th. He'll move up a position for that of the 55 machine. That's going to be your 23 drivers racing here tonight. Do want to give a note, though, we do have slight complications that are going to be popping up here on our ticker and as well as on track. There was a slight complication with one of our fill-in drivers, that of Bill Dart. He was given the wrong number. He's supposed to be actually rolling with the 52, as Bill Dart's going to be the fill-in driver for Lau Christensen. But because they accidentally gave him the 9 number, that messes up a driver who's been running the 9 all season. That is going to be Wilson, who is going to be having to now run the 20 on our ticker, but still the 9 on screen. So just that little complication will give you updates throughout the night if you get confused. But again, that is our one little odd spot that we're going to be having here tonight. But for fun here tonight with this race, Trevor, it's always great to see. Usually it's at Charlotte, but tonight at North Wilkesboro, the drivers were told it's a patriotic night, and some of the drivers went all out on the schemes.
It's always fun when we have these special paint scheme events to see what these drivers come up with. A lot of service paint schemes out there, a lot of patriotic paint schemes. Always fun to see, and always such a great thing when all the drivers participate in it.
As you're going to be seeing about half the field in patriotic schemes, the other half sticking with their classics that they've been running throughout the whole entire season. But up front, going to be that of Ross Tatum, Cameron Sarton, the 2 favorites here tonight. I got to say the 21 looking very strong based off of that of qualifying and practice. Now it's time to see how the race trim is going to stick out for these drivers. As we've gotten the 1 to go indicator, this is how tonight's race is going to go. It is going to be 200 laps. We have a stage break at the end of lap 60. No fast repairs and 4 extra sets of tires in pit road. Fuel could be a point of caution to talk about after our stage, but most likely it's going to be the tire strategy. Plenty of tires to work with, and as well, big points to be grabbed at our stage break. As we're getting ready, it's time to get rolling. We're on board with that of Cole Sacchetti as the green flag is out, and here we go at North Wilkesboro. The American-made 200, presented by MCI Graphics, is green as the drivers head down into turn number 1 out of the exit at 2. This is the danger zone that drivers are already dealing with.
Yeah, Ross Tatum did not get a great restart. A little bit of wheel spin in that 21 machine allowed Cameron Sarton in the 24 to just drive around him on the outside. So Cameron Sarton now takes the lead in battle for 3rd. He's going to be between Zach Hall and that of Christopher Norris. Norris going to give that spot up. Cole Sacchetti in the 42 looking to fill that void coming out of turn 2.
going to be trying to find the opening as Christopher Norris, a villain driver, that 12 machine, not wanting to cause any troubles, but he has ran well earlier in the season. Christopher Norris was a villain driver, and he's had very good finishes. He's hoping for another good one here tonight. But leading the first couple of laps, Cameron Sarton for himself, continuing to hold on, but a first caution of the day strikes deeper in the field. As you're going to be seeing that of the 53 in the grass, that's going to be Christopher Wade. And the 8 of K-Spear going to be having issues for themselves. Bringing out our first caution, I believe it is going to be around that 53 machine. As actually it's the 18 of Austin Call that got himself spun around sideways on with oncoming traffic that brought out this yellow.
Yeah, Austin Call was the second fastest truck in practice. Sam just didn't have a good qualifying run, and it looks like, just looking back at it as we get the replay, it looks like he might have just gotten loose there, slid down in front of the 53 of Wade, and those two get together. But we were talking about that. These rear ends on these trucks do tend to step out as we get the replay pulled up right here.
Going into the corner and right in front of the number 9 machine, that of Wilson, and just goes around. And then here comes the contact of the 53, who's about to make a hit here on the inside as they go into the grass, both colliding with one another, as that's going to be bringing out our first caution of the day. And Trevor, that is something that we could be seeing a lot of here tonight. Well, I mean, we were both kind of talking about this before coming into this race, on the fact of, drivers are expected to have a lot of issues on the exit just because of the power, the way that this track just really gets the rear ends kicked out. The entry of the corner, also a very troublesome spot we just saw there.
And it comes down to how you kind of have your brake bias set up to get into the corner. Some drivers tend to run a little bit more front brake, which means the front tends to stick a little bit more. But if you run too much rear brake in this, Sam, it's really easy to get that truck stepped out. And that could have been the case there with Austin Call, maybe just a little bit too much rear brake in it, trying to help the truck rotate through the center of the corner. But on entry, it can cause it to step out on you. And it kind of looked like that was the case with Austin.
As Austin, one of those drivers, we're curious on how he's going to run here tonight. Based off of practice, we were excited. What was that of the 18 going to bring? But the qualifying was not at that spot. Now going to be dealing with some damage. Now the big thing for both drivers, no one was given required damage, just a little bit of buffering that they had to take in, and we'll get back out on track. One driver, though, did come into pit road. That was Ken Campbell who came into pit road. Kind of a surprise in my eyes to see the 15 come into pit road for himself, just topping off on fuel and getting a little bit of damage repair.
I mean, hey, fuel. I mean, we were talking about it. Fuel might be a thing here, and getting that little bit of extra fuel might be part of his strategy there, and might have gotten a little bit of damage, Sam, in that wreck. He was starting, way down the order there. Didn't get a qualifying lap in, so just making sure that 15 machine is good to go here for the rest of the way until the stage break.
The stage break going to be at the end of lap 60 for these drivers, as Cameron Sarton saw Ross Tatum not get a good launch. This restart going to be a good cue of, is it on the leader that has the bad launch, or was it just Ross Tatum missing a little bit of a shift that allowed the 24 to take off as well as he did? Time to find out where the speed's at. Hey, if you're in the chat right now wanting to be a little bit interactive, big question here tonight. How many cautions do you think we're going to have? So far, already one in the first 10 laps of this race. How many more will we climb to? Let's find out as the base car is off. And a little bit of a wheel spin there by the 24. And here comes Ross Tatum on the outside.
Yeah, Cole Sketty gave that a Cameron Sarton a pretty decent shot there coming out of turn number 4. And I think it kind of made Cameron jump a little bit earlier than he anticipated. He got some wheel spin, and that allowed Ross Tatum to get to his outside. That battle for the lead is going to continue into 3 and 4. But it looks like Sarton might be able to get away from him, but no, Ross Tatum on that outside line is going to hang in strong.
And that's a power move right there. 3 and 4, much more prefer to be on the inside. 1 and 2, you can make that middle to high line groove work. As you can see there, the exit speed so much stronger for the 21. But then here comes the opposite. The 24, preferred lane. There's the center speed exit, but yellow flag strikes. And it's going to be their villain driver, a Bill Dart, having some major issues for that of the 52 on screen and the 9 on our ticker.
Good thing for Cameron Sarton, Sam, able to hold on to the lead. We'll get the replay pulled up here, but Sarton able to hang on with that lead with that caution, was just in front of Ross Tatum. But again, the inside line, not getting a good restart. That could be something to watch out for the rest of this race.
Just a fluke, or maybe. I mean, I feel like the outside lane for these restarts is going to be a much better place. You can get your car centered a lot more straighter, I should say, coming to the starting line a lot quicker. I feel like it'd be a better place to be as we take a look here at the fact of how that second incident came out. Watch out for the pink and white. That's going to be the 52 machine of Bill Dart as he comes into the corner. I mean, Trevor, this is becoming a bigger issue than I think we expected. It's the entry points where drivers are just losing the rear ends.
Yeah, again, just same thing that happened to Austin Call in the 18. Just the rear end steps out on him, slides it around the corner there. Not sure if anybody else gets into him, as everybody looks like Wade goes high, gets around him. A little bit of contact there with Doug Pearson, the 39. The 30 gets by pretty well. So, I mean, for where that was, Sam, in the center of the corner, everybody gets by fairly well.
Could have been a lot worse as now we right on that bumper of that ability dart as he goes into the corner. And you can just see the rear end kick out on him almost immediately. Right when he touched the brake, it just kicked out. And luckily, other drivers were able to avoid that. Charles Hugel having probably the biggest scare right there. But as we're seeing the drivers getting themselves in line for this second restart of the night, want to give a big shout out to Travis Dart, who's in the chat. Just got reports, as he put it in there, internet issues on why he missed out tonight. And I know, Trevor, you got to have a great conversation with Travis, and we actually have that uploaded now from the cool down lap of how excited the 26 was going to be coming into tonight.
Yeah, Travis sounded pretty excited about it. Was feeling good about his chances to get into the playoffs and maybe get a win going into that, and said he was putting in a lot of work for Wilkesboro and was looking forward to it. So, unfortunate for that he has to miss that. And that's a part of the one of the fun things about sim racing, Sam, is sometimes the internet doesn't cooperate with you. You can't get into races, but I know next week at Michigan, I expect to see Travis Dart up front there. He ran well at Auto Club until he got caught up in a wreck, so I expect to see that 26 machine up front next week.
And for that, Travis Dart, it might have to be a win and you're in for these next 4 races coming up, and Michigan going to be the first and best opportunity next week. We hope to have you back out there on track, Travis, as we are missing you out there, as only 23 drivers making it into tonight. Bill Dart came in a pit road to get a little bit of repairs for that of the 52 machine, and now it's time for us to see how these drivers are going to have a better launch as Cameron Sarton moves up to the outside lane, learning from that first mistake. As the green flag is out, the 24 is gone, and there's a much better launch by our leader as Zach Hall able to follow in suit side by side between the 21 and the 32 at a turn 2, and Ross Tatum losing that of 2 positions in an instant.
Yeah, had a little bit of wheel spin on that bottom line again on that restart, so that inside line definitely not working out for our leaders. Norris goes around the outside of the 42 of Cole Sacchetti, so moved Norris up one spot. Actually, that battle is going to continue here down into turn 1. It'll be a battle for 4th, and they're side by side behind them between Kyle Carpenter and Will Bustlin.
That is the battle for 6th place. Kyle Carpenter trying to become the next driver to be moved into the playoffs position, as the 77 has an open door due to Andrew Medlin missing out on tonight's race, and that is a big opportunity for himself. But a driver slow and in trouble on the front stretch at the 39 of Doug Pierce, who is dealing with some very heavy damage, as he's going to be slow, and our leaders might catch up to the 39 right when he pulls into pit road. So this could be a scary situation as the 39 is trying to get himself into pit road. Luckily, the leaders did not catch him in time, but he continues to stay out on track. A risky call by a driver with required damage flag given to him.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to Doug, but with that required damage, going to have to make a pit stop here and get that fixed. And the one interesting thing here about Wilkesboro, Sam, there is no true pit entry line. I mean, it's basically just right off the racing surface to get onto pit road. And I think Doug able to get that 39 machine down pit road with no issues, but could have been bad for our leaders that they caught him in an awkward situation with him trying to get on pit road.
Very much could be, as we see our leaders right now. This is the battling going on in the middle of the field. He's got 3 of Ryan Lynch. He's got Austin Call behind him, and Austin Call trying to do as best that he can. As here comes Philip Chavez with a big loose moment, and Ryan Lynch able to close in the 101, luckily able to hold on the exit turn 2.
Yeah, but all 3 of those drivers got loose at different points. The 3 and the 18 of Lynch and Call got loose on corner exit. Chavez got loose on corner entry. Everybody able to save it here is Lynch again stalking that 101, trying to find a way past Chavez. Right behind him, Nick Holland goes to the inside of Austin Call. He's going to get that position done as Call got a little bit loose going into the entry of turn number 3.
And that's where we saw problems. Entry of turn 1 for the 18. Brake bias might still be an issue as you're right on board with that of Jonathan Woods. Woods hoping for a great run here. Winner from Daytona to start the season off. And the 2, he was running great last week. I mean, he was running good, caught up in a couple of messes, but this 2, excited to see how well he's going to perform here tonight. Qualified in 8th, fell all the way down to 13th. So there is speed as Austin Call with a bad exit of the corner, bounces off the wall, and here comes an opening, and we're almost 3 wide, a little bit of a tap, and somehow Call holds on.
Great job holding on to that. A little bit of a tap there from the 99 of John Dart after getting into the wall. Dart's going to dive it in now to the inside of the 18. They're going to almost make a little bit of contact on corner entry, but they keep it off one another as this battle continues for 12th and 13th.
As John Dart making the call, it's time to make the moves now. He is being very aggressive in the 99, but that's what you got to do when you're short track racing. Get the elbows out. Be willing to move a driver. You don't want to see someone get wrecked and completely dump them into the outside wall and ruin their night fully. But sometimes you've got to ruffle the feathers of the drivers around you if you're going to make any type of passes. As you fall even deeper behind these drivers, you're going to see that of Wilson as well as that of Campbell side by side. This is for 17th, which is crazy to think. These are 2 drivers that we've seen run instead of our top 10 before.
Yeah, I mean, we know Ken Campbell's quick, just not able to get in a qualifying lap, and has a little bit of nose damage to that 15 machine, Sam. I think that's from that first incident. And then Brian Wilson behind him in the 9. I mean, we've seen Brian have speed, just struggling here a little bit early on as he's trying to battle with the 53 of Christopher Wade and able to get that pass done on Wade.
Wade's also dealing with slight damage as well, as he was also caught up in that first incident, as the drivers are just trying to find their own pace at this time. As drivers going to be making the pass, there's going to be Sam Siegel making the move, going to get by Christopher Wade. K-Spear gets by Wade, and Christopher Wade, obviously, this is not the night that he wanted to have at all. It has been going up in smoke for that of the 53, but luckily, banking off of his win back at Eldora, so a bad night like tonight is not costing him from making it into the playoffs.
I was just about to say that. Luckily for him, has that win from Eldora, so not in too much trouble, just not having the night he wanted, and that early damage really isn't going to help him. Probably just trying to survive to the stage break here in another 30 laps to see how much damage he can get fixed on that 53 machine.
But a driver with the pressure of points, it's the 77 of Kyle Carpenter. If Carpenter has a bad night, if he finishes outside of our top 20, and also has that of seeing Brian Wilson, Ryan Lynch, Austin Call finish ahead of the 77, they can close in on the gap. And this is going to be the battle for who can take that 12th place in points to race for the playoffs. But if we get a new winner, which is very likely we could have, that's outside of our top 12, that would bounce out another position based off of points. This is still crazy to think on the fact that we have 8 different winners so far in our 10 different races.
Yeah, it's been a great start to the season in terms of different winners. We saw Zach Hall go back-to-back weeks at Homestead and Bristol, and we didn't have another repeat winner, Sam, until Chris Stitz last week at Charlotte after he had won at Kansas. I mean, we rattled off that of 3 different winners before we had another repeat winner, and right now the rate it's going, Cameron Sarton looking good to get his first win of the season. Ross Tatum in 3rd looking good for his first win, and Cole Sacchetti as well. I mean, either one of those 4 could get their first win here tonight.
I mean, you just listed off that Cameron Sarton and Ross Tatum not having wins. Those are the 2 past champions of this series. Cameron Sarton being the champion of season 1 and 2. Ross Tatum winning last season. I mean, those 2 drivers not having wins is kind of baffling at this point, just showing the amount of competition that has risen to this level of season 4. And it's great to see as Cameron Sarton in the 24, we ride on board, and he is catching up to lap traffic as he's got to be careful trying to figure out how to get by that of Jonathan K-Spear as well as Bill Dart. Bill Dart very much underpowered for the 52 machine. K-Spear just following in suit. As we ride on board with our leader, he's got to make the decision here in the next about 3 to 4 laps, or maybe even sooner, on how to get by this traffic.
And this is where it can always get tricky as the race leader catching up to the first batch of lap traffic. What are they going to do? Are they just going to move out of the way for you, give you your preferred line? It looks like K-Spear are going to do just that, go to the outside, let this 24 machine go by. Nice, easy move, and good job there by K-Spear to let the leaders go by.
Lets the leader go on by, continues to stay on that outside lane. Zach Hall not going to have a great launch out of the corner as the 8 rushing the wall just slightly. That makes Zach Hall a little bit cautious. He'll take a more shallow entry. And our top 3 closing in, all still within a second of one another. You look deeper in the field, though. You look at, some other drivers. Here's the 17 of Chris Stitz, who won last week. But up front, actually, Zach Hall loose out of exit of turn 2, giving some front-end damage to the 21 of Ross Tatum. And a lot of damage to that 21 machine. Oh, no, Trevor Ross Tatum struck with bad luck again.
More bad luck for Ross Tatum. And what makes it even worse, Sam, front-end damage in these trucks can be really catastrophic. It might not look like much, but with how aero-dependent these trucks are, that little bit of front-end damage could really hurt him and make that truck overheat, which could in turn make him blow the engine later on in this race.
He's got to keep his eyes out on it. Luckily, just 20 laps to go before we're at our stage break. Top 10 drivers get bonus points, and for the 21, he's got to be banking on the fact that this engine stays together until we get to the stage break so we can get some of that damage repair, and he won't have to worry about it. But Cole Seghetti now closing in on that gap as Zach Hall's fallen back to 4th place. Just showing one incident in an instant, anything can happen for these drivers, as it was one of our front runners that found the issues for themselves.
And it was just getting the power down just a little bit too early for Zach Hall. They got that 32 machine sideways, and then Ross Tatum just nowhere to go, got in the back of him with how close they were running together. Cole Seghetti, I misspoke earlier, our winner from Watkins Glen, so does have that win for the season now, trying to close in on that wounded 21 machine. But I gotta say, Sam, even with that damage, Ross Tatum still turning fairly good lap times. Was actually quicker than our leader, Cameron Sarton, that last time by.
Yeah, I mean, you thought maybe there was an issue there, but again, that damage, though, can still build up. That front end still looks very crinkled in, and I'm still going to be nervous of the 21 machine, but, man, and this is just going to look more and more interesting as the night progresses on. Again, a lot of racing. We're not even at the quarter of the way marker just yet, and it's still our front runner of Cameron Sarton leading the way. We look back to the 68 of Nick Holland, who's in 10th position. A very key position to watch out for, because the driver behind him, Ryan Lynch, needs these bonus points. He cannot afford to watch that 77 of Kyle Carpenter just max out and build out that gap any more than it already is.
Yeah, Carpenter doing a really good job, building that gap and just hanging on, being consistent here in 6th position, doing a great job. And saying, I mean, he's got to feel like he's owed something here tonight. I mean, he was so close to getting that first win at Pocono, coming out of turn number 3 until it all went haywire for him, but having a great opening stint of the race here tonight.
An excellent opening stint at this time as Philip Chavez, staying where he's at. John Dart continues his march forward as the 99 now putting the pressure on that of Ryan Lynch. That last time by, John Dart fast enough to get up to 8th place, and the 99 might not give up until then, because that 8th place position just about a half a second ahead of him. And at this rate, he could catch up, but the big problem is every time you make a pass, it slows you up just a little bit. But that was a clean movement by John Dart to get by Ryan Lynch, and here comes also Jonathan Woods. Ryan Lynch not looking good in the 3 right now. That long run pace is not where he needs to be.
Starting to struggle a little bit, falling back through the field. We've got Jonathan Woods at number 15 of Kim Campbell. And thinking back to last week, Sam, those two made contact with each other under caution. No, it was unintentional, but still kind of got to play in your head just a little bit that, hey, last time this truck was behind me, we got together, and it kind of ruined a good chance that either one of them had for a win. But both of them trying to close in on this 3 machine to get by him, to see if they can run down John Dart ahead of him and Nick Holland and Philip Chavez to get any stage points here.
I mean, I feel like for some of them, they may not want to have that memory coming back up and bubbling from last week, especially on the fact that we're just 10 laps away from having our stage break. But here comes that Jonathan Woods to the inside for the 2, right on the front bumper of the 2 machine, as he's to the inside, not able to clear just yet to go down to turn number 1. Woods needs to get aggressive, though, on the throttle and get moving if he wants to make this pass as quick as possible. The issue, though, we are 50 laps into this run on these tires. We've had, yes, a caution or 2 that have helped out the tires just slightly, but not enough at this point of a run. You easily could find yourself slipping up, but the 2 finds the opening, the mistake by the 3. But here comes the exit run, not strong enough. Jonathan Woods clears for that 12th place. As, oh boy, the 3 actually scraping the outside wall in the entry.
Yeah, well, Lynch got into the outside wall there on the entry, forces him still a little bit higher than I think he would have liked to. He was going to give that spot up to Woods and the 15 of Campbell. So Lynch back 2 more spots. That struggle really continues for the 3 after he moved up. They're a little bit on that on that start, Sam, down 5 positions from where he started this race.
Not a great look, as here's another driver, one of our rookies running here tonight in his patriotic scheme. It's the 14 of Nick Gould. Nick Gould in 17th position, hoping for a solid finish here of top 15 run. And it could be very possible if he just continues to keep this truck clean, because with the way we've seen some of these restarts and some of these wrecks, it might be just a clean run. You're going to find yourself with a good day, as we've got 6 laps to go before our stage is done. And a lap 60 is our stage break. Right now, Cameron Sarton is clean up front. He's already put down Bill Dart a lap down. Next driver in line hopes to be that of Sam Siegel, but Siegel might be able to escape away and not be put a lap down. There's just not enough laps to get done. But 24 starting to see a little bit of competition in front of him that he's trying to catch up to.
They're trying to get to those lap cars, but thankfully he's got a pretty decent gap. Got about a second gap back to that of Ross Tatum here with 4 to go in the stage. Doesn't necessarily have to get too aggressive getting by Sam Siegel here, trying to run him down and put a car between him and Ross Tatum, as that gap's kind of starting to neutralize between those two. But Ross Tatum still, even with that damage, the last couple of laps has been quicker than our race leaders. So if he does catch that of Sam Siegel in a bad spot, this could give Ross Tatum a chance to steal this stage break away, or stage win away from him.
As you can see here, the gap that is being closed down just slightly last time by, it was advantage to that of Cameron Sarton. But seeing Ross Tatum slowly inch back, showing that he does have a little bit of life still in these tires, it's got to be a good sign, especially in the fact that we have the stage break caution that's going to come out, allow these drivers to get a new set of tires on board, 4 freshies and a pack full of fuel. A lot of knowledge can be grabbed in this first stage as we're coming up to the white flag of our stage.
The question is going to be for Ross Tatum at this stage break, how long do you sit on pit road to get damage fixed, or do you feel like with the pace that you have, do you forego that damage and keep your track position and stay out there and not get it fixed? That's going to be the real question for him. Is he's going to have nothing here for Cameron Sarton. Sarton's going to cruise here through 3 and 4 right behind the 55 of Sam Siegel and get our stage victory.
Out of turn number 4 and across the line. That is Cameron Sarton. They're waiting for 10th place to come across the line, which there is still in a very heated battle between John Dart and Nick Holland between the 2 of them. As they come out of turn number 4, Holland's going to get loose, give it to John Dart, and that will be our stage yellow coming out here tonight, North Wilkesboro, for the America Made 200, presented by MCI Graphics. And Cameron Sarton, what a dominant run right there by the 24, Trevor. There was just nobody looked as clean on the restarts as the 24, nor did they look as good when we were under green flag conditions.
Yeah, no, once he got that lead from Ross Tatum, that clean air really helped the 24 machine, able to just cruise away there. And it helped, too, that Ross Tatum and Zach Hall got to battle with each other, had that little bit of contact with one another that allowed him to build that gap up. But I wouldn't count out that 21 or the 32 quite yet, as everybody's going to come down pit road and get fresh tires.
Everyone comes into pit road, and as they're coming into pit road, big thing to watch out for. Do not slide through your box. These boxes are very small, easily can make mistakes. As you see, our top 5 all able to get into their box cleanly. But it's Ross Tatum with a very good launch for himself, taking 4 tires and fuel as the whole entire field. And Ross Tatum is out and gone as Cameron Sarton falls to the second, an extended time for the 24. He was in pit road for almost a second and a half longer than the 21 machine, and he loses the lead because of it.
It could have just been a bad pit stop from his pit crew there that kept him in pit road that long. Ross Tatum electing not to get into that damage fixed, and thankfully for Ross, that first box, Sam, you saw it there as we were watching that green cone, the exit cone, just all of about 10 feet from his box, so just had to roll a couple of feet, gets the lead back. Now we'll see what he decides to do here on this restart, if he's going to take that outside line after Cameron Sarton had such a good launch on the previous restart of the outside line.
Well, let's queue up our stage winner and see what exactly happened to that of Cameron Sarton in the 24, as we get to see if we can get him on the radio. 24 machine to Cameron Sarton. It's Sam and Trevor up in the booth. You got us?
I got y'all.
Well, stage winner here tonight in North Wilkesboro. I mean, how are you feeling? Because from our point of view, you look fantastic out there on track.
Oh, pretty good. I wasn't really sure what to expect, but times kept kind of even there with Ross and Zach. So track position is going to be key here. That first pit stall where he got ahead of me there is just unfair how good it is, but we'll just try and get him here on the restart or at some point and hope to capitalize on last 130 plus.
Ross, on these restarts, we've seen it the last couple of times that inside line doesn't seem to get a good launch. Is there anything to that? We saw you kind of struggle with it in that lead position. That Ross struggled with it on the first restart. Is it just something about that inside line that makes it a little bit looser?
It's like almost the outside goes down that hill off of 4, and inside I got so loose on that one start that I just chose the top again. But of course he chose the top, but that's okay. We'll see what we can do and enjoy the show.
Well, good luck here. That of Cameron, we'll send you back to your team. Good luck here tonight.
Yes, sir. Thanks.
As we send that of Cameron starting back to his team, we get ready for racing action, as it is going to be seeing that of Cameron Starr and Ross Tatum. Tatum with the better launch on the outside lane. We're back to green flag action. No more stages. It's all about the win, as that of the 24 not able to get the launch that he wanted, but he'll have to settle for third place.
Yeah, that outside line, just like he was talking about, gets that better restart, kind of drive down the hill. So Ross Tatum, close to getting clear that 24 machine. Will Bustler now trying to take advantage as well, as he's to the outside of Zach Hall. It's going to be a battle for 4th and 5th position, with Bustler getting by on that outside line. Norris right behind with Chavez and Carpenter, and caution's out.
Caution's out, and it's the 3 machine of Ryan Lynch. Christopher Wade comes in with late contact, and oh no, I mean, Ryan Lynch talking about the praises and not gonna have the start that he wanted here. Heavy rear end damage for the 3 directly in the center, and a couple of more extra bumps after the initial spin. To get the instant replay up, do want to give note to our stage and where the drivers finished up, as we weren't able to go down that rundown. It was Cameron Sarton going to be getting the win for stage, getting the maximum stage points, with Ross Tatum in 2nd, Zach Hall 3rd, Cole Sacchetti in 4th, with Christopher Norris 5th, Will Bustler 6th, 7th was Kyle Carpenter, Philip Chavez 8th, 9th is Chris Stitz, and John Dart taking the last position. As we see here, the 8 machine giving some assistance to the 3.
Case Beer looks like he just got into turn 1 just a little too deep, gets into the back of the 3 of Ryan Lynch, sends that 3 machine around, and you saw it, everybody trying to get by as best they could, doing a fairly good job. Wade just kind of, I think, picked the wrong line, Sam. Everybody's stacked up right there trying to get through. Siegel barely makes it through. The 55 gets a little bit of contact, and then Wade trying to get it stopped, just couldn't get it stopped all the way. It gives that of Lynch just a little bit of a bump there once they all come to a complete stop.
No drivers were given the official required damage flag, but you get enough damage, you still get a sense, hey, I should probably come into pit road and get some of this repaired. As all the drivers that came in was Ryan Lynch, Bill Dart, as well as Case Beer and Doug Pierce, still in pit road after his required damage from the race. Charles Hugel as well came into pit road, got some damage repair, got to get back out there on track, as we still have 130 laps to go. I mean, Trevor, stages are done. Anything that you noticed from that first stage that you think these drivers could carry over to this race, as we got Ross Tatum and Cole Sacchetti going to be your top 2?
You know, after those first couple of cautions, it went green there. We had a really good green flag run, so I kind of expect the same thing to happen here, Sam. We'll have a couple of quick cautions. The cold tires kind of tend to bring that, especially at short tracks where you can spin out really easy getting the power down. But after that, I think it's going to come down to tire wear. Who can save their tires the best to be good on the long run? I think that's going to be key for these guys.
Who's going to be able to keep that track position, as Chris Stitz into pit road? Same for Ryan Lynch. A little bit of a late coming in party for those drivers, as I mean, if you're coming into pit road now, I'm expecting this is probably the thought that this race could have a lot more yellows, and maybe you'll be thinking about just staying out for the rest of this race. It's a gutsy call, but maybe they're thinking a little bit further ahead than other drivers are now.
Could be. Could be a really good strategy call from those guys if we get a lot of cautions, but if we don't, could kind of put themselves on the back foot, giving up all that track position to come down and get some fuel, get a little bit of damage repair, but we'll have to wait and see how it's going to play out for them. As again, our leader, Ross Tatum, going to take that outside line on this restart.
Outside lane, little bit of shuffling action on where the drivers are at after that last restart. Ross Tatum going to be leading the way with this restart on the outside. Then it's going to be Cole Sketty. Will Bustler going to be on the outside. We'll see how the 1 can hold up. This is 24, not able to get the launch that he wanted, but we're back to green flag racing for the American-made 200%ed by MCI Graphics. And Cameron Sarton, the inside lane, just a tough spot to be as he's trying to stay in third. As Will Bustler, aggressive is the 1. Little Caesars falling back though as the 24 conquers and succeeds for third.
Yeah, it looks like he just overdrove the entry to turn number 3, slid up the racetrack, gave that position back to the 24 of Sarton. Norris had a little bit of a look to try to get to the inside of Bustler.
No!
Chavez goes spinning down the backstretch.
21, out of the 101 of Philip Chavez down into the grass. That is off the racing surface. That is going to keep us green. But the 101 of Philip Chavez, we've seen this at other short tracks before. He hates to have those mistakes happen. And what was looking like a decent run, now he's going to have to recenter, hope for a yellow, as our leaders are still racing on. As here's the battle for 7th place. You got that of Kyle Carpenter, outsides that of Nick Holland, and John Dart in the 99, all challenging for 7th.
Holland with a really good drive down the front straightaway there outside of Kyle Carpenter, trying to get that pass done. Seeing a really good drive here down the back straightaway. Carpenter a little bit loose halfway down the back straightaway. It looks like Holland might be able to get this pass done. John Dart moves up a little bit to try to fend off the 15 of King Campbell, but again, that battle side by side between Carpenter and Holland continues into turn number 1 for another lap.
And Nick Holland already got a win. He's already locked into the playoffs. Why not be aggressive? And this is the most aggressive I think we've seen any driver willing to be on the outside. The 68 makes the power move work. But you saw that last time with the exit of turn 4. Very much that rear end, not happy with the exit. And here comes Ken Campbell, our biggest mover of the day, up 11 positions. Is this 15 who finally cracks into the top 10?
Yeah, slowly but surely working his way forward, but as you keep moving forward, Sam, the competition gets a little bit harder to pass, and Campbell now going to have to go to work to get around Dart, Carpenter, Holland, Zach Hall, Norris, Bustler, and all those guys to have a shot at this. And going to need a couple cautions, I think, to help that 15 machine out to keep moving him up the field, but doing a good job getting through everybody so far.
And John Dart, one of those drivers we saw in front of the 15 that we're right on board with, that black 99, was a driver that really had some decent long-run pace. He was making some pretty big moves there at the end of the stages. Ken Campbell gets a little loose, losing some ground there off the exit of turn 4. This 15, it's got to find a little bit more steadiness, but currently right now, doing a decent job for themselves. Again, biggest mover is that 15, as here is Austin Call, second fastest during practice, and that of the 18. Really trying to still find his own here during the race pace. Stuck here in 13th position, up 5 positions. He'll take that after being involved with our first caution.
Yeah, he'll take that after that little bit of a self-spin that he had, doing a good job moving up through the field. Right behind him, Nick Gould there in the 14. Sam was in danger of going a lap down right before a stage break up to that of 14th position, up 6 spots from where he qualified. So he's having a much better start to this part of the race compared to the first half.
And I even threw it out there when last time we looked at the 14 machine. As long as he just kept that nose clean, was running his own race, he could really grab a pretty good finish right now inside of the top 15 and doing a very good job for himself. A driver that's surprising me that is in the top 15. That has got to be the of the 59. 9 on our ticker. Bill Dart, fill-in driver, doing a great job at this moment. He had heavy front-end damage. He's coming to pit road only that 3 times to get those repairs done. But this 52 machine is currently in 15th place.
Anything's possible if you can, get the damage fixed, stay out of trouble. You can move up a couple spots as other guys have trouble in front of you. And right now, Bill Dart just showing that off right now as he's moved up through the field. It was a lap down at one point as well. Sam went a lap down early on, got that lap back, and working his way back up through traffic.
Let's see here that of the 17 of Chris Stitz, as well as the 3 of Ryan Lynch, both came into pit road later than everyone else on that last caution, deciding to pit, taking the strategy call, running just as fast, a little bit slower than our leaders, and dealing with some slight damage, but both the 3 and the 17 not really putting a lot of pressure to try to gain any positions. They seem pretty all right. I say that for the 17. The 3, on the other hand, he is trying to make that outside lane work.
Yeah, trying to trying to make up a couple of passes here. Goes to the outside of the 55 of Sam Siegel. Runs really high, though, through the center of 3 and 4. Gets a really good drive off. Clears the 55 of Siegel. Now going to try to go to work on the 52 there of Bill Dart in front of him. Instead, it's just going to take a little bit easier approach to get around this 55 machine. Not as aggressive as Lynch was as he gets into the outside wall just a little bit, though, down the back straightaway, trying to get this pass done.
Just small little scrub marks. Why not add a couple more scrapes that are already there as the drivers, again, this is the battling for all those for 15th back to 19th position. Drivers that are up front, they're battling for spots. Biggest and closest battles going to be for 6th place with Nick Holland and Zach Hall, but the best battle, I would say, in the middle of all this has to be this battle for 2nd place. Cole Sacchetti, Cameron Sarn trying to get back in a position to go back to the lead. He went one stage of the stage break for the 24 here tonight as he makes the pass to the inside, not able to clear fully, but Cameron Sarn seems to say it's time to go.
It's time to go, and it looks like the 42 of Sacchetti just going to let that 24 machine go. Realizes he's a little bit quicker than me at this moment. Just going to let him go, not going to battle. And let the guys behind him catch up of Bustler and Norris with those two battling side by side. So now Sarn free to try to go run down that 21 of Ross Tatum, who again, Sam, I know mentioned it a couple times, but I'm just blown away with how well that truck is doing with the amount of front end damage there.
Yeah, that front end damage looked a lot more visually destructive than I think it actually might have been internally, as we're running on board with the 68 of Nick Holland. This is battling for 6th place. Zach Hall, the Fruit Stripes machine, is just holding his own. Zach Hall's been struggling. He got a very good first 40 laps of this race, then lost touch with a little bit of a slip up that gave the damage to Ross Tatum on that front end of the 21 machine. But it's right on board with Nick Holland. Again, we saw in the beginning of that last restart the aggression from the 68, willing to make some moves on the outside. These tires somehow at least giving enough air at this moment to keep up with that of Zach Hall. He's losing a little bit of touch, but I'm concerned that the longer this run goes on how the 68 is going to defend to stay in the top 10. As we drop back to see some of the drivers battling just outside of the top 10, here is going to be that of Wilson as well as Jonathan Woods battling with one another.
Yeah, those two having a good run for themselves. Woods trying to get back up to where he qualified, down 4 spots from where he qualified, but Wilson up 4 spots from where he started this race. So both of those guys quietly having good nights here. Right behind them, Austin Paul in 13th. So those 3 trying to run down that of Kim Campbell, John Dart, to see if they can get into the top 10 here tonight.
Trying to get into the top 10. How well can you do so as driver having to pull into pit road? Jonathan Casebeer, too much damage for the 8. He's coming into pit road, get some damage repairs. As the leader was actually catching up to Casebeer, he just pulled to the inside. We'll see how long he'll be in pit road. Here's the 30 machine of Charles Hugel and Sam Siegel. Going to be racing with one another. The 55 of Sam Siegel has been in and out of his truck as he's had a fill-in driver periodically. Charles Hugel in the 30 machine here tonight, trying to have a good run. Charles Hugel, one of those drivers that is trying to question if he's going to be one of the drivers to go for a playoff push next season. Currently this season he is finding himself in that 19th position, 62 points away from the cutoff line, a little bit too far. He's going to need a lot of help, and drivers just missing races to make the playoffs. But one of the drivers that's hoping and cannot wait for the playoffs, that's this 21 machine of Ross Tatum, ready to defend at any time.
Yeah, and Tatum trying to get a win here so he can really defend his championship from last season. It kind of steadied that gap between him and Cameron Sarton. Sarton closed it in just a little bit, but that gap's kind of steadied itself at a little over 1 second as Tatum's looking good here tonight now that he's in that clean area, in that lead as we're just coming to the halfway mark of the race.
Well, as we are coming up the halfway marker, across the line is the 21 machine. We are going to take a commercial break for ourselves, but you will not miss a thing as we are going to be going side by side as you're watching the Full Send Racing Series, race number 11 for the American-made 200 presented by MCI Graphics on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Again, we're going to go side by side so you don't miss a thing, but we'll see you on the other side as drivers are getting themselves prepared on when commercials will happen.
You wanted the best, you got them for a rest. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws! World of Outlaws Dirt Racing will be available September 27th. Pre-order your copy today.
He's following, they're wrecking, they're splitting, and it's a complete mayhem.
We have a wreck at the front. 19 goes down into the 7, takes out the 00.
They're 5 wide behind for fifth. Oh my, the 5 wide here, this ain't gonna work, is it? They're already wrecking into turn 1, and now coming through that of turn 2. This is it, the Daytona. Oh no, they're wrecking contact. Sets gets into the wall. Gonna be scattering on the outside. Drivers on the apron. Drivers coming out of nowhere. Edison on the outside trying to get the win. And it's William Edison stealing it at the line.
The wall. The 18 trying to block. 77 to get into the 18. That leaves 3 of TJ Roberts. 17 to Gavin Rogers. 3 of TJ Roberts is going to steal the win here.
What second fiddle so many times last season. Christopher Wade wins the season 5 Daytona 200. welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as it has been a very good, clean run so far we've been having for ourselves for the Full Send Racing Series. Tonight, you've been watching the America Made 200 presented by MCI Graphics, and the drivers have been waiting to see who could get themselves a victory lane. Right now, Ross Tatum in a very good spot. We've had a couple of scares here or there. We've stayed green. But for that, the Full Send Racing Series, got to give some great shout-outs to some great sponsors. And one of them going to be the Lap Traffic Podcast. If you want to be listening to a quality podcast, go head over to the Lap Traffic Podcast today for your daily listens. As well, ButtKicker, feel what you've been missing. Get yourself a game or two today to hook up with your racing rig. As it's a plug-and-go system, well, the racing rig that you need, go on over to Next Level Racing to build out your next racing rig. Comfortable seats, as well as more from Next Level Racing. Well, thank you for joining us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Trevor Earhart. And Trevor, we're past the halfway marker. We're now into the crunch time zone where drivers are hoping to keep themselves out of trouble, but there's been a couple that we've seen under commercial break. We've seen have some a little bit of mishaps.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of trucks have some issues out of turn number 2, spin into the grass on the back straightaway, thankfully keeping it green. And that was kind of what I was thinking was going to happen after the stage break. We were going to have a couple of quick cautions, and then it was going to go green for a while, and kind of seems to be the trend here. And I've got to say, Ross Tatum doing a great job managing his tires well, pulling that gap, and continues to pull a gap over the 24 of Cameron Sargent.
Yeah, and Ross Tatum, again, he had his one slip up at the start of the race that could cost him the lead in the lead position for being in control on the restarts, and now 21 has gotten that control back, and he's been doing a great job. This is the battle for third place with Will Bustler and Zach Hall. Zach Hall, we were touching on right when we went to commercial break, Trevor and I were about kind of surprised how the 32 wasn't up front challenging with our leaders. Currently, right now, 32 is on the charge. He's passing drivers, trying to catch up to our top 3, and he's done so. Now trying to make the pass for third.
Yeah, trying to get around Will Bustler. He kind of falling back there to about 5th position with Christopher Norris. And Cole Sacchetti was able to drive around both of those guys. Now gets that pass done on the one of Will Bustler to move him up to third. So starting that march forward with the issue, Sam, 6.5 seconds back of that of Ross Tatum. But already had one driver in our top 10 come down pit road, and that was going to be the 68 of Nick Holland.
Nick Holland comes into pit road, hearing reports of potentially Austin Call thinking about pit stops, but a very quick pit stop to see from the 68, which if he's trying to go for that of an undercut, meaning that you pit before the normal time that we're expecting drivers to come to pit road, this could be a very good call for himself. But the issue is, for the 68 pitting this early, he is now 2 laps down. So if a caution comes out, this is throwing away a top 10 finish for that machine, as he's trying to get at least one of the laps back, trying to race with that of our leader, as well as Chris Stitz. Now he's got fresh rubber, trying to be aggressive. This is the time to make these moves and try to have some good runs with the fresh rubber and gain time. And there goes Nick Holland, now officially just 1 lap down.
Yeah, it's always the kind of the heart-stopping moment as a race leader when you're trying to lap a truck and then a truck on fresh tires trying to get by you. Lost a little bit of time there. Cameron Sargent was able to get everybody able to get through that cleanly, but Nick Holland definitely needing this race to continue to stay green and cycle through pit stops so he can get all that track position up and see how much time he might gain on this guy.
We weren't given the official number on fuel, but I'm trying to think back to other series that we've covered here before at this track. The drivers trying to look to see the official number on the fuel stint the drivers are working with. I believe they're working with 100%, so they should be good on at least 80 laps of fuel, which means they're going to have to pit at least once here tonight. And here comes the 42 of Cole Sacchetti into pit road. It looks like might be seeing drivers decide to split this stint in half. That's why we're seeing drivers coming to pit road now.
Yeah, probably a good call to come in and pit, but it's still going to have to go that about 70 laps from here to the end. So it's still going to be a long run for these guys, but come down and get fresh tires a little bit earlier than the guys in front of you and see if you can make up that time. And the interesting thing here, Sam, too, is pit exit is right back into the racing surface. So drivers definitely going to have to be aware as these guys start making their pit stops.
Yeah, it's almost directly if drivers have been saving their tires right in the racing line when you're coming out of pit road. You see the 15, those lines, striped lines on the inside of entry turn 1. That is the exit of pit road, entry of pit road, a much tighter spot when you're trying to come on the exit of turn 4. So drivers gonna pick and choose where they're gonna feel the most comfortable. As here's the 3 machine of Ryan Lynch, who's had a very much up and down type of a night. He's currently in 13th position. Troublesome spot for the 3 machine. He is not the first car 1 lap down. That goes to Chris Stitz in the 17. So if we get a caution, the 3 would still stay a lap down unless we see everyone on the lead lap coming to pit road, which could happen and could allow the 3 try to do a wave around. But he's also in the same spot of potentially might not be able to make it on fuel to the end of this race.
Yeah, I mean, going off of that pit window, I expect everybody to come down pit road here in the next 5 to 10 laps maybe for our race leaders, based off of kind of that rough number. But, you know, some guys might decide to go a little bit longer. Guys come in shorter. We've already seen a couple of pit stops. Chris Stitz actually going to come down pit road now in that 17 machine after he's gone a lap down. So going to be interesting to see here, Sam, what our leaders decide to do and how long they decide to continue to stay out.
I mean, it might as well just continue to stay out. I feel like the safer option with the short track and the high potential chance of drivers kind of getting out of sorts and bringing out a yellow is stay out as long as possible. Make sure that you're on the lead lap when the yellow comes out. Otherwise, maybe pit with that of, you know, seeing around, you know, 60 might be where you want to go. But these drivers have a lot of different chances to go for some big fuel.
Yeah, a lot of different chances, like you said, but I'm kind of with you, Sam. I think you want to stay out as long as you can with kind of how treacherous it is to get on and off pit road here. The potential for a caution during the cycle of pit stops is very high. So I think the later you stay out, kind of the better off you're going to be. Plus, you're going to have those fresher tires by anywhere from 10 to 20 laps on some of these guys who have already made their pit stops.
As drivers continue to race around, looking at the times the drivers are putting in, Zach Hall has found something. That 32, he's putting down some burners of a lap time. He has been 2 to 3 tenths faster than our leaders the last about 5 laps. And Trevor could be a factor of the 32 could have been just saving fuel and now has gotten the go button that he is good and can attack.
Could have been. I mean, last time we were talking about it was almost 6.5 seconds back of that of Ross Tatum. Now only 4 seconds back. Is Zach all that time by, Sam? Almost 5 tenths quicker than our race leader. That 32 machine is flying right now.
Well, we are getting reports by that of Travis Dart on the fact that fuel should be about 140 laps. So that would put them in a margin where they shouldn't think about coming into pit road unless tires is the issue on why you're coming into pit road for yourselves.
Could be. So 140 laps, stage break was at lap 60. We had that quick caution afterwards, so you would think these guys are going to be good on the fuel. The question is going to be those tires, and if Zach Hall was saving those tires, Sam, I think he might be in the best position out of everybody in our top 3.
As he is still putting down a 22.0 time. Our top 2 is a 20.2. That is a 2 tenths difference. A short track that is a 6.6 of a mile in length. That is a huge difference in time. Zach Hall continues to try to close in on the gap. But I think also what's helping Zach is Ross Tatum catching up to lap traffic at not the best times for himself. But at this time, we only have 10 drivers left on the lead lap.
Kyle Carpenter is the last truck on the lead lap, and he's not that far ahead of our race leader, Ross Tatum. Carpenter just now coming out of turn 4, Tatum as well. So about a straightaway between those two as they continue to put trucks a lap down. And this has allowed the 24 of Sarton to kind of close in. But Sam, he's kind of been caught in the same situation, catching lap traffic at a bad time. He's got 2 lap trucks in front of him battling, and that's Brian Wilson and Bill Dart.
As those drivers are racing with one another, it is not for position. They're just being very aggressive. And Cameron Sarton gets by that of Bill Dart. Now going to be setting up for that of Brian Wilson. Wilson going to be the first driver 1 lap down. So he'll stay high, let the 24 go, and now it's going to be Zach Hall's turn to get through the 4 lap drivers in front of him.
And Zach's got to get through this lap traffic quickly, catch that 24 machine who's now lost touch with our race leader. He'd closed that gap to about 1.5 seconds as Ross Tatum was going through lap traffic, but now back to 2 seconds, and Zach Hall right behind him just has these couple of lap cars between him and the 24 of Sarton, who I got to say, Sam, is starting to look a little bit vulnerable here on this long run.
And you just saw as we hopped on board the cockpit, these drivers have a handful here on the entry as those wheels are being worked aggressively on the entry and exit, which is, one of those big factors. You're trying to be smooth. We talked about smoothness being a key during qualifying, and Zach Hall showing that, yes, you're looking for smoothness, but maybe you just got to be wild with your hands if you want to keep this thing straight underneath you. As behind, and the pressure to the 32, it's Cole Sacchetti to the inside.
Sacchetti on those fresh tires already made that pit stop for fresh tires, trying to see if what he can do with that pit strategy. Gets by the 32 of Zach Hall. It's going to give that of Cameron Sarton a little bit more breathing room and hold Zach back a little bit. But that 42 machine, you should see the speed difference about a second a lap quicker. Cole Sacchetti is over that of everybody in front of him.
Trying to do quick math right now. If that of Cole Sacchetti keeps this pace that he's going, there is a very slim chance that he could try to gun lap himself and have the ability of catching up to our leaders. It's a very slim chance that this strategy is going to work for the 42, but at the pace that he's going, watch out. Cole Sacchetti's off strategy could work out.
It could, and it's gonna be so interesting to see. I mean, we know they're good on fuel. It's the tire wear that could be the key thing to all these guys. I mean, it could run into the potential, Sam, if these guys are pushing too hard, of blowing out a right front tire and putting yourself in the wall and getting a required damage flag to come down and make a pit stop. So, do these guys feel like they've saved enough to make it to the end on tires, or are they still going to have to make a pit stop at some point in this race?
As Sacchetti continues to be the only driver right now running in the 118s, also be the first car lap down. He is right on the back bumper of Ross Tatum, and the difference in time is going to be about 20 seconds. If Chris Ditz does a second advantage each lap, or even a half a second each lap, he will catch up to our leader in about, I believe, 10 to go. So this is very likely for the 42, but again, circumstances, he's got lap traffic in front of him, and he's also got to hope that this race stays green, but he's unlapped himself. This is the first key point for that Cole Sacchetti.
Yeah, first key point for him, and now it's going to be a race to see. He's got to balance this out, Sam. He's got to balance out being quick enough to get back around to catch that over Ross Tatum, but not kill his tires in the process. So we'll have to keep our eye on that 42 of Sacchetti and see how the strategy is going to work out for him. But this battle for second is starting to heat up as Zach Hall is now caught up to the 24 of Cameron Sarton down here in turn number 1 and 2.
Cameron Sarton, again, we talked about the struggles of trying to get through the lap traffic. Zach Hall had those struggles as well, but Cameron Sarton will try to make some of those passes. Used up these tires maybe a little bit too much. Zach Hall right on the back bumper for second place. 32's been patient. Crazy to think the two drivers that made contact that hurt Zach Hall's back bumper and Zach Hall's back bumper that hurt Ross Tatum's front grill are about to be the two drivers potentially 1 and 2 after all of these 150, almost 160 laps.
Yeah, it's so weird to think about, just with the visual damage to both trucks and how well they're running. And Zach Hall now right to the rear bumper of that 24 of Cameron Sarton start really struggling on this long run. Looking at his lap times, I mean, he's almost a tenth slower than that of Tatum and Zach Hall. As Zach Hall has another little look down here out of turn number 4. Couldn't quite get to the inside of him to try to set him up down here in turn number 1 and 2.
Have to reset, figure out where the best place is to be, trying to find that extra mojo and pace to go for an attempt on the inside. And here it goes, inside of turn number 3. Cameron Sarton going to stay in that second groove, trying to get back in the throttle sooner. Zach Hall trying to stay to the quarter panel, not able to do so, but he'll have another attempt here in the entry of turn 1. No, cut off. 24, great defensive move there on the entry of the corner, and Zach Hall has to resettle as they've got lap cars in front. Once again, could that be the pick that Zach Hall's looking for as Ross Tatum has gotten by lap traffic and he's continuing to cruise on by.
And Nick Gould, Kyle Carpenter right in front of these two battling with one another. Gould's going to go way high, let these two get by, continue their little battle, but for the time being, this gap kind of sustained itself here at about 2 to 3 truck lengths heading down into 3, but Cameron Sarton with a big wiggle halfway through the corner. That allows that 32 to close right back up, but Zach gives a little bit of a wiggle on the corner exit, trying to get the power down as they still continue this battle into 1 and 2.
Less than 40 laps to go. This is the battle for second place, but the driver of note in 9th position, about to make the pass for 8th, Cole Sacchetti, at the pace that he's going, can catch up to our leader, but he's 13.8 seconds back and trying to run down Ross Tatum. The two very different strategies. Cole Sacchetti went into pit road 30 laps ago, ran down, unlapped himself twice, and now he's on the lead lap trying to catch the 21.
This is going to be so interesting to see, Sam, if he can do this that last lap by for himself, even passing cars ran a 19.9. Our leader Ross Tatum with a 20.5. So still got pace in that 42 machine. Now that he's got a little bit of clean air, we'll see what kind of lap times he can put down and just how quickly he can run down these guys ahead of him.
Trying to close in any way possible. Right now, if he continued at this pace, about a half a second each lap, it would take 25 to 30 laps to catch up to our leader. And guess what? We got ourselves 35 laps still to go in this race. It could come down to the final couple of laps, but that's if Cole Sacchetti can make these passes clean and be aggressive, as he's going to go to the outside. A very odd move. He's going to have to go 3 wide going by Pace Beer, the outside lane of that of Ken Campbell, and trying to close up on the 3 of Ryan Lynch. Cole Sacchetti doing it the more aggressive route on the outside, but he's got the tire wear to make the moves work. But he's slowed down because of those aggressive moves. He is losing the pace that he needs to catch up to our leader.
Yeah, that time by was only a 10th quicker, and that's just not going to cut it for this 42 as he makes contact with the 3 of Lynch, and that's really going to hurt. And that of Campbell involved in what as well, and that's going to bring out a caution.
And that right there brings out the yellow in a very odd spot to see the carnage happen. And the 3 machine, Brian Lynch, he makes contact and then just locks it down in the middle of the straightaway. A bizarre moment to have. Maybe thought he was going to slide closer to the inside wall, but he stopped right dead center in the racetrack, where you did not expect a driver to make that reaction or that type of a move. But it now calls the night for 2 other drivers. Ryan Lynch is out and Ken Campbell. Required damage, blown engine. They're both done as we take a look at this one.
As Sacchetti just trying to be aggressive on those tires, just pushes up a little bit, gets into the 3 of Lynch there, and they just door slam each other. Lynch gets into the wall, and I'm not sure, Sam, it looks like it just breaks loose on him when it comes off the wall, and Campbell just nowhere to go, makes hard contact into the inside wall. Case Beer skates by barely, and then both those drivers just lock it down. But just an odd situation there for Lynch when he comes off the wall. The thing just broke loose on him.
It broke loose, but I mean, just an unfortunate scenario to be placed in. I mean, he's got a faster driver trying to get by him. There's no blame on anyone at all, I would say, there, except for the fact that, you know, you got 2 drivers, different mindsets. The 3's just trying to stay out of the way. You got the 42's trying to get aggressive, and they just make contact on the exit.
Yeah, just kind of met in the middle there, and that's the issue you have with old versus newer tires, is those things can happen. And unfortunately for Ryan Lynch, who was having a good run there up into the top 10, and his night's over. And Ken Campbell, who was having a great run as well, moved up all the way from the back of the field into the top 10. Both their nights done for here.
Both going to be done, but we reset. We get fresh rubber, and we're going to try it once again. 30 laps to go, and I feel like this is how it always happens. We get early cautions, a little bit of green flag run, then the stage break comes out, early cautions, a major green flag run, and then we get into this stage where it's chaos at the very end.
Hey, we've had back-to-back weeks of green-white checkers. Why not go for 3 in a row here? Still got a little bit of ways to go until we have to burn one of those green-white checkers, but anything's possible here. But this allows Cameron Sarton, Zach Hall, Bustler, Norris, and even John Dart, who's up to 6th, Sam, all another shot here at that 21 of Ross Tatum, who, once he got that lead after the stage break, has looked untouchable.
Yeah, and we're expecting to see Ross Tatum go to the outside and have a restart there. The question is for Cameron Sarton. It's been a while since they've had a restart. Has the 24 learned anything that's going to help him on this go to have the best launch that he can? Because this is going to be very important. This restart, that whole entire inside lane needs a fantastic launch. Watch out, though, for the outside. Will Bustler could have an opportunity to move up to second. Pace car lights are off. It is time for us to get back to green flag racing. Quick turnaround, and here we go. As we're going to be seeing the 21, great launch for himself. Will Bustler trying to keep it close. Cameron Sarton and the whole entire rest of the field. Not a good launch for that of fourth on back.
So a better restart for the 24 of Sarton is a bad restart for the 32 of Zach Hall, who got really loose, checking the whole inside line, but Sarton able to clear the one of Bustler, now just right behind the 21 of Ross Tatum. But Bustler moves up past Zach Hall. It's going to be a battle between Norris and John Dart. That's going to be a battle for fifth. It's the first side-by-side action on the racetrack.
First side-by-side, and John Dart, what a momentum mover this has got to be for the 99, who was really much unsure on what pace he was going to have coming closer and closer to the playoffs. This is one of those power move type of races where he's showing some good speed, but he's racing with the 12 of Christopher Norris, making his third start as a fill-in driver. And this has been a great showing by the 12, but he has got to be careful because Cole Sacchetti, we saw the aggression. This 42 needs to make this move quickly if he wants a chance to win here tonight.
Sacchetti needs to get through these guys to have anything for our top four. The issue is Sammy just has nowhere to go. Their battling side by side doesn't leave you a gap to go anywhere unless you decide to force it. And they're still going to be side by side. This battle's been going on since the restart, and it looks like finally Christopher Norris able to get that position away from John Dart. But let's say that Dart, good move down the front straightaway, but now finally to get that position up.
Could it be 3 wide? Christopher Norris finally clears, so won't go 3 wide. John Dart going to be staying in the outside lane. Here comes Cole Sacchetti in the 42 machine. Also Jonathan Woods, and that of Austin Call in the 18. Great recovery by the 18. He was caught up in our very first caution after a self-spin. The 18 now inside of our top 10. Save Kyle Carpenter, Chris Stitz. Drivers given the second opportunity for themselves to be up front. As the 1868, also seeing the 9, going to be that of Brian Wilson. Wilson going to be 1 lap down. He is fighting to stay in that lucky dog spot with that of Nick Holland. These two drivers of that of the 9 and 68 very much going to stay aggressive with one another.
Yeah, you kind of got a battle within a battle there. The battle between that of Austin Call, Jonathan Woods for position inside the top 10. And you got the battle of the lucky dogs. Kind of separating those two now as Woods has been able to put those two between him and Austin Call. That's going to be a battle, Sam. If we get a caution, that's going to be a very important battle for both of those drivers, and they're not going to want to give that position up.
They don't want to give it up, but if they are the ones that bring out the caution or get an incident point while the yellow is out, they will lose that opportunity of having the lucky dog. So drivers got to be careful. Even though they're racing so aggressively, they keep up the pressure and they keep on wheeling and dealing. 20 laps to go as the 9s try to stay off the outside wall. And as this battle for that of the lucky dog spot continues to rage on for the lead, Ross Tatum continues to hold steady, but lap traffic already in front of our leaders.
Yeah, Sam Siegel in the 55 going to be the first one they have to deal with. And Cameron Sarton really hasn't let that 21 get away as they get by Siegel. Now they're going to have the 52 of Bill Dart to get by. Zach Hall had a little bit of a look to the inside of Will Bustler, but couldn't get that position taken away from him as Sarton continues to close the gap on the 21, but they catch the 52 in a bad spot, and Sarton's going to lose a little bit of ground here to the 21.
A little bit of ground, but oh no, caution flag waves as the yellow flag comes out. That will change everything, and it's the two drivers that were just racing hard with one another. It's going to be Wilson spinning out, trying to hold his position, not going to be able to do so, but there might have been a phantom incident point given to that of the 68. That means that Christopher Wade could be getting the lucky dog spot here. We got to keep our eye out on that.
Oh, it's going to be heartbreak for the 68 of Nick Holland if that's the case. Getting that phantom 0X means he's, like you said, not going to get that lucky dog. It'll go to the first car a lap down that wasn't involved in an incident.
Oh no, Sam Siegel's going to get it. Remember, he was actually lapped down right before that incident happened. The 55 would be taking the lucky dog spot even with that yellow flag coming out.
You're right. He just went that lap down, and so that battle was irrelevant. And so Siegel going to get that, and I think that might have caused some confusion with the 68 of Nick Holland as to why he didn't get it. Maybe didn't realize that the leaders had passed that in the 55 of Siegel.
Oh, you hate to see it for drivers that were battling so hard and practically for nothing. And now going to be just having to sit and wait because we're not expecting waiver rounds. Drivers expected to stay out because we haven't been out there for very long. Drivers just came into pit road 16 laps ago. That means no waiver round going to be given to that of Nick Holland, and Lucky Dog will be gifted to that of Sam Siegel. Drivers coming into pit road, and a few of those going to be on the lead lap. Going to watch out for those drivers of John Dart, Austin Call, Kyle Carpenter, Chris Stitz, Philip Chavez, Cole Sacchetti, and Sam Siegel, all coming into pit road that are on the lead lap. That is 7th all the way down to that of 13th.
Yeah, the back half of the top 10 coming in getting 4 fresh tires, and that's not a bad call there, Sam. Been out there for almost 20 laps on those tires, so not a bad call. Come in and get some fresh tires, see if you can make up a little bit of track position. And with how little cars we have on the lead lap, it could work out for them.
And I think any advantage is a good advantage to have, especially on the fact that some of these drivers have been a little bit off pace. But if you were side by side with someone or challenging with them and you felt like, okay, I'm not able to make the pass while we're on the same set, slight advantage could give you that spot for the lead. But I got a feeling our top 4 might stay the top 4. Those drivers were looking so strong on that restart. And when we go green, it is going to be close to that of 10 laps to go. I believe it's going to be 11 once we get the 1 to go indicator. And with it being that close to the end of this race, the gloves are going to be already off. It is time to take every position you can. And that means we can be seeing a lot more cautions breeding cautions.
Cautions do breed cautions. I don't know how aggressive our top 4 are going to be. They tend to race each other pretty clean, but for that of Tatum and Cameron Sarton and even Will Bustler don't have a win yet. So they might be a little bit aggressive with one another here on this restart. Zach Hall already got those 2 wins this season. He might be a little bit more forgiving, but we'll have to wait and find out as this restart's getting ready to happen, Sam.
Drivers stacked up. We're ready to get back to Green Flag Racing. The American-made 200 presented by MCI Graphics is green. Ross Tatum, Cameron Sarton across the line. Start of lap 189 of 200. And it's going to be that of the 21 machine. Ross Tatum, clear. Side by side, though, for second. Zach Hall trying to make the pass on Cameron Sarton. Sarton going to be holding on behind them, though. It's Jonathan Woods that gets spun around in front of the field.
Woods was just inside our top 10 too, Sam, so he's going to lose a little bit of track position with that spin. Thankfully, don't think anybody hit him there, and in all that, Zach Hall able to complete that pass on the 24 of Cameron Sarton, so Zach Hall gets up to second.
If you're Zach Hall, I don't know if you want second on this restart. We've seen third place. I mean, that is second place being a very tough spot on the inside. Third place is even a tougher. I think Will Bustler might be in the best position you could ask for if you're in the top 2 rows, besides that of our leader of Ross Tatum, because that outside lane has been the best spot to be on these restarts.
Yeah, who also might be in a good spot here, restarting in 6th.
Oh,
Austin Call on fresh tires.
That's right. Austin Call now going to be up to 6th place.
Oh, and he's got those fresh tires too. I mean, it could happen, Sam. This restart's going to be very interesting.
I mean, I brought it up at the top of the broadcast that there is a chance that someone that is outside of our top 12 could get a win and lock themselves into the playoffs and make it, instead of 4 positions being pointed into the playoffs, where we could be down to just 3 with 4 races to go. But Austin Call going to be the first of those drivers really to watch out for. Kyle Carpenter, technically, because of Andrew Medlin not showing up here tonight, Carpenter would move up to 12th. So Austin Call, Kyle Carpenter, they're going to be starting side by side, going to be around one another. They're going to be the 2 drivers of note, because Kyle Carpenter could be bounced out of her top 12 in points with 4 races to go if Austin Call wins this race.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the points right now, Austin Call in 16th, about 35 back of that cut line, so a win here would be huge for him. And like you said, really jumble up that battle for the final playoff position going into the last 4 weeks of the regular season.
And if we do get down to the 3 drivers that haven't pointed their way in, those 4 drivers right now, Ross Tatum, who won last season's championship, Cameron Sarton, who is going to be the 2-time champ, he's going to be 10th in points. Will Bustler, who's currently in 4th, He's 11th in points. Those 3 drivers have a big amount of points. They're in a good spot that they should point their way into the playoffs, but it continues to look more and more complicated, and we still have that of 4 more races to go in the regular season. Michigan, Darlington, Dover, Talladega. Oh boy, the star that of the Full Send Racing Series has been bringing out the stars. They've been running so well this season. And I gotta say, season 4 might be one of the more dramatic seasons so far of seeing who can make it into the playoffs. But tonight's not over just yet. It is gonna be a 6-lap shootout. Who is gonna win here at North Wilkesboro? Let's find out. Ross Tatum, Zach Hall, Will Bustler, Cameron Sarton, Austin Cole, Christopher Norris. It's gonna be your top 6. Pace car is off into the restart zone, and we're green once again here at North Wilkesboro.
And another great restart from the 21 of Ross Tatum. Will Bustler not able to get side by side with Zach Hall, but as I say that, Zach a little bit slow on corner exit. They're going to be side by side. Austin Call on those fresh tires, just nowhere to go, Sam, as he's kind of boxed in behind the one of Bustler, who's trying to do battle with the 32 of Zach Hall. He's now going to be side by side with the 24 of Sarton, who has a wiggle and almost made it 3 wide down the front straightaway.
He got loose. He jacked up the whole entire inside lane, and Austin Call, fresh tires, and get back into the throttle. He's trying to get by that 24 machine. Austin Call up to 4th. 5 laps to go. About to be 4 laps to go, and Austin Call needs to make these passes quick. He's losing time, losing the rubber, and it's Ross Tatum leading the way as Zach Hall's trying to close in. But this is what the back bumper of that of the 90 machine, that of the 18 machine looks like, as he's finally been able to clear up to 4th.
Yeah, and Cameron Sarton just been really loose on corner exit. He's fallen back through the field all the way back down to that of 7th position, as all these guys that already came down pit road and took fresh tires are getting by him. He's getting swarmed up. Austin Call, though, Sam in the 18, just not able to make up any ground on those fresh tires. We're down to 3 laps to go. He's running out of time here tonight.
Running out of time, but like you said, we've gone to overtime the last 2 weeks, and we are now on the last lap. The white flag will turn this race official. Ross Tatum, last season's champion, he wants to book his ticket into the playoffs, but he's going to have one more opportunity. Caution flag comes out. Austin Cole and Ross Tatum in the preferred spots for this next restart.
Oh, and this just got interesting. Cole Sacchetti spins in turn number 2, makes some hard contact with a couple of other drivers, and this is exactly what that 18 machine needed to see.
Oh boy, as it's another self spin in front of traffic that brings out this yellow and sets us into overtime. Tonight is not over just yet. As we get to look here, it's the 42 in that VFW machine. And the 42 just goes into the corner so aggressively. And Trevor, like we've seen a lot here tonight, go a little bit too far. The rear end just wants to kick out in the center of the corner.
Yeah, just got in too deep there. The rear end steps out on him and spins it up the racetrack. And I'm not sure who made contact with him. We see Sarton get by, Norris gets by, Kyle Carpenter skates through there.
Oh,
right there, Chavez. And then Siegel as well catches it. Hard contact for both of those drivers.
And both of them going to have to try to see if they can continue driving. Philip Chavez will not. That is a blown engine for the 101. Somehow that of Sam Siegel continues to race on as we take a look here from the 101's perspective, as he's going to be seen on the entry of the corner. I mean, there's just really nowhere to go. You pick your lane, and even if you have the time to react to move up, you just can't. You're deciding where to go. You see the 42 go up, and then the last moment when you make the decision to come down, that's when the 42 comes down and contact's made.
Yeah, he kind of started to drift up a little bit, thinking that maybe he was going to stay to the middle. Sees him slide up, goes down, and then Sacchetti just slides right down in front of him. Nowhere for Chavez to go, nowhere for Siegel to go either. As that 42 machine slid down the track. Heavy damage for both of those, for all 3 of those drivers. But Sam, Ross Tatum on the outside, Zach Hall, Will Bustler on the inside line. Austin Call, fresh tires, gonna be that first truck behind our race leader. This, and then Chris Stitz as well on that same strategy call. Those 2 are going to be the first 2 trucks on that outside line behind our race leader.
Yeah, and John Dart going to be in the fray. Oh, man, this is... I mean, Austin Call. Trevor, you kind of were talking about this before we went live. he was a driver to watch out for in your mind, and now he is in a very good spot to go for a win, but he's going to need a restart of a lifetime to even have a chance here, because Ross Tatum, we know, has been perfect on these restarts.
Yeah, I was looking at those lap times in practice, and he was the quickest there for a little bit before Ross Tatum finally got him. And I was thinking, hey, I mean, we've seen him have speed in practice, speed in qualifying, just hasn't, been able to put it all together. Here tonight, wasn't able to get the qualifying rundown, but pit strategy could work out for him, and he's got the advantage. He gets to start right behind Ross Tatum, can take off when he goes. This might be what that 18 needs here tonight as we get ready for what could be our last restart of the night.
And don't let the moment take over. Keep the nerve steady as we get into the restart zone. Overtime attempt number 1 is on. Wheel spin massive for Zach Hall and Austin Call. Ross Tatum is gone. He needs this race to stay green, though. If we get a yellow flag on this lap, we will go into attempt number 2. But if we get the white flag, this race is official. Austin Call trying to make the pass for second. He needs to make the pass now as they come out of turn number 4. That of Ross Tatum sees the white flag in the air. This race is official as your freaky fast white flag is out. It's all the battling for second place. That of Call wanting every point possible if he's gonna close in on Kyle Carpenter. Ross Tatum, though, into turn number 3, the 21. What a run it has been. And the last season's champ, give him a win. Book his ticket to the playoffs. Ross Tatum wins here at the American-made 200, presented by MCI Graphics.
Austin Call able to get the battle with Zach Hall, finishes second here tonight. Zach Hall's going to get third. Christopher Norris, Sam, got turned in turn 3 on the final lap. He goes from running inside the, almost in the top 5, all the way back to that of 12th position for that 12 machine. But what a run by that of Ross Tatum, finally getting that first win of the season. Sam, he'd been so close so many times, runner-up so many times this season, and finally gets to burn it down here in Victory Lane.
Finally gets to burn it down. Austin Call, what an enjoyable night for himself. But man, Cameron saw it, and you got to be feeling for the 24 with how dominant he looked in stage 1. Lost the track position. The battle out of pit road honestly was the moment that the 24 lost any chance to win this race, and that was all the way back at lap 64. But Ross Tatum, he gets to have some fun. For us here up in the booth, though, we're going to step aside for a quick moment. When we come back, it's the post-race show. We'll talk to our top 2 and a spotlight driver. We'll be back in just a few moments. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show for the Full Send Racing Series, and what a show we had here tonight. Overtime once again, but this time it is last season's champ getting to victory lane. The 21 of Ross Tatum in the perfect spot for those overtime attempts in first place. Got the launch that he needed, got the win, and let's talk in victory lane to the 21 machine. Ross, it's Sam and Trevor up in the booth. Man, you looked dominant once you got the lead back. I know that first start of the race, that takeoff didn't go as smoothly as you wanted, but man, after the stage break, this race was all yours.
Yeah, man, that was a really fun race for me, obviously, but I think Cam definitely had a lot. He was very fast tonight. The only reason I got out in front was just because I had that first pit stall, so it was good to finally have a good qualifying effort and then capitalize on it. Start of the race was a little iffy, but it all worked out. At one point, I ran into Zach, and I thought my race was over because my engine got a little warm, but everything worked out, so it feels good to finally get one.
I mean, Ross, we talked on that very point various times tonight, was that damage that you received from running over Zach. Thankfully, it sounds like the overheating wasn't too much of a concern for you, but how worried were you about that? And then how worried were you on that green-white checkered, seeing a couple of trucks behind you on fresher tires?
I'll be honest, I was more worried about when Sacchetti and Holland went and pitted about midway through that run. Those guys were flying up through the field. I was watching once Sacchetti passed me, I was watching how quick he was catching me. And he was still catching me about 5/10 a lap there. So I was more worried about that. The green white checkered, the top lane on that restart is just so dominant. You can't be on the bottom. And I just hoped that Zach would be racing Austin right there. And luckily he did. So I was able to pull away right there, but one more, I don't know if I'd have survived it, but one was just enough.
Well, Ross, congratulations once again on the win. You are now the 9th different winner in 11 races. How does that make you feel, knowing now that you've gotten your win? You don't have to worry about pointing your way into the playoffs, because it seemed like that's becoming more and more intense as the regular season goes on.
Yeah, I've been, I can't lie to you, I've been kind of worried about it. Definitely had a few opportunities to win this season, but I just hadn't been able to capitalize on it. And so I was a little worried. We have a ton of fast guys in here this year. I mean, there's got to be 18, 19 guys that could win on any given week. And takes a lot of skill and luck to win. So to finally knock one out feels good. And hopefully I knock a few more out, because I am hurting on some playoff points.
That is certain. But Ross, the luck certainly did land in your lap here tonight. Before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Thanks, guys. I got to thank Will. I do a bad job of thanking him in these interviews. So I got to thank Will Bustler for painting my schemes up. He's got a page over on Train Paints. Everyone should go check him out and should hit him up for paint schemes. He's the man. If I need something, he makes it real quick. I got to thank you guys at Freaky Fast. Love the podcast you guys are doing now. That was pretty entertaining. And everything you guys do on the network is awesome. So I try to watch every race I can. Got to thank Next Level Racing. Got to thank ButtKicker. Got to thank Lap Traffic Podcast. Got to thank everyone watching. Got to thank my teammates Chris, Jonathan, and Will. And just looking forward to the next one. Hopefully we can knock some more out. I got some good tracks coming up, but it's tough in here.
That it certainly is. Congratulations, Ross, once again on this win, and good luck heading to Michigan next week.
Thanks, guys.
Well, as we go from victory lane, let's talk to second place, who certainly had a magical night here tonight. Maybe didn't get the qualifying run that he wanted, but came away second. We got ourselves with us Austin Call. Austin, what a run for yourself. Second place here tonight. Did you imagine that you could get second place after the way that you qualified here tonight?
Well, I mean, definitely not after the way I qualified. I knew I had a lot of speed because I was very fast in practice, like almost to Ross Tatum's level. But during the race, I just couldn't save tires. So especially after I qualified and mid-race, I was kind of down, not really thinking I was going to do much aside from maybe get a top 10 out of this. But I mean, got pretty lucky and got a second out of it.
Well, Austin, I mean, I will say you were my dark horse pick to win the race tonight based off of practice times. And I mean, you had that early spin, brought out the first caution, kind of ran back there in the top 10. But I mean, how excited were you and what was going through your mind there on that green white checkered when you were starting right behind Ross Tatum?
don't spin my tires, which is exactly what I did. Like coming to the final restart, I could feel my like foot shaking, which was not very good for braking. So definitely a lot of nerves, just definitely because I have not been up at the front in a while, and especially in this league. But yeah, I mean, like it was hard to make it up from wherever I was, like 10th, 11th, the entire race, up to where I ended up finishing.
You end up finishing in second here tonight. And, Austin, points wise in playoffs, we got 4 more races to go. It's looking like a very much of a long shot if you're going to be making it into the playoffs, but you got 4 races to make a magical run if you can do so. How are you feeling about these next couple of races, though? Michigan, Darlington, Dover, and then the last race of the regular season being at Talladega.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty good, at least in other leagues. I've been pretty good at Michigan, and I've been pretty good at Darlington. Uh, so I think I could maybe pull out something there if I get on a different strategy or something. But I don't know if I can get them on pure speed. Dover, I despise. It's easily my least favorite track, and I don't know if I'll probably be running mid-teens there. But Talladega, I love restricted plate racing, and I've been practicing a lot of restricted plate racing, and that's kind of been my circled date of where I can get a win and possibly get into the playoffs.
Well, it certainly would be great to see you make it in the playoffs, Austin, after this performance here tonight. Congratulations. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Well, I don't really have any sponsors other than Ambush, although I wasn't running their paint scheme tonight. But definitely give thanks to them for letting me run with their win with this team. Definitely my teammate John Casabier. Casabier, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, to be honest. He's pretty fun to talk to during the races, even if I'm not really in the same race as him. Josh Alstis, my other teammate, he's been very insightful in the very few races I've been able to run with him. But he was a great teammate. I actually know what brake bias is now because of him. And then Jason Frey for bringing this together. And then obviously I got to thank my family for letting me doing this. And I know my grandma's watching I don't know if she's watching on her phone or TV, but I know she loves watching me race. So I want to thank to them.
Well, congratulations, Austin, on this run. Second place here tonight, and hopefully we'll see you with another great run next week at Michigan.
Thank you.
As we go from second place, we're going to actually head to fourth place, where we got that of Chris Stitz in what a wild event that this 17 had to go through. Compared to last week was in victory lane. Here this week takes away fourth. But Chris, congratulations on fourth place. With the way that this race was going, being a lap down, being extremely under pace, did you expect a top 5 at all at the point where you were finding yourself a lap down?
Honestly, no. I was just hoping and praying for a top 10. I did not even expect to get anywhere close to the top 5.
I mean, Chris, with the amount of vehicles, trucks that you had to pass tonight, I mean, just what was it like out there for you working your way through the field, getting by guys? I mean, we saw how loose it could be, corner entry and quarter exit, but from your point of view, what was it like tonight?
It was hectic. I don't want to know the number of how many cars I passed tonight. I had to be somewhere close to the hundreds, honestly. But it was fun, a lot of fun. When I got the fresh tires and the whole field was on older tires, just kind of diving it low and just giving it everything it had. It was a blast to run and then such a fun track.
Well, you survived throughout today, there, Chris. But now we've coming through the final push. 4 more races to go. How do you feel like you can try to carry on these next 4 races to find the momentum as the playoffs are just that of a month away?
I think next week is going to be a really good race for me. I had a great luck last year. I was running the race until leading the race until I got into a wreck. But Darlington and the other 2 tracks, I can do well at. But I'm going to give it my all and get those playoff points as much as I can build up because I'm going to need them heading into round 1.
Well, Chris, again, congratulations on surviving and coming away with a top 5 finish. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
I'd like to thank all of our league sponsors, Next Level Racing, ButtKicker, Lap Traffic Podcast, Red Customs, FR Graphics, and Impact Sim Designs and MCI Graphics. All of them do a fantastic job. You guys, for the podcast you just started, I just watched it. It was awesome. If anyone's listening, y'all should go check that out. My teammates, great teammates, Cole and Nick. And then I'd like to thank Travis for everything he does for this league. He always puts on great runnings for everyone, and it's been really fun this season. And lastly, I'd like to thank my grandfather, who I just recently lost yesterday. This was for him, and he definitely helped me keep fighting to get through to the end and get that 4th place.
Well, I'm so sorry for your loss there, Chris, and you had a fantastic run tonight honoring him, and good luck next week at Michigan.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Well, that's going to be Chris Stitz coming away with a 4th place finish for that 17 machine. Congratulations on that, and as well to the whole entire Stitz family for their loss. We are so sorry for your loss, and we pray for the best for y'all out there. But for tonight, 21, Ross Tatum comes away with the victory. What a run that he got to have. Got the pole, fastest during practice, fastest during qualifying. Missed out on the stage, but he'll take the win at the end of the day, is that of Ross Tatum. I mean, Trevor, what a run for himself as we bring up the unofficial results as you see the winning moments by these drivers.
Yeah, I mean, what a great run. Just, you gotta give him credit. Never gave up even after the damage. Pulls away there, holds on during the green white checker, gets the win tonight. Cameron Sarton again, another stage victory, Sam, but just not able to convert the stage victory into a win, as he's only going to be able to come away with a 7th place finish tonight.
Comes with a 7th place finish, and here's also the rest of the drivers on where they're going to be unofficially finishing. Ross Tatum in 1st, Austin Call in 2nd, Zach Hall in 3rd, Chris Stitz 4th, Will Bustler 5th, John Dart, what a run for the 99 in 6th, but there you said, their Cameron Sarton stage winner in 7th, Kyle Carpenter 8th, who should become the new 12th place in points moving on to these final 4 races. See how well he can hold on to that with Jonathan Woods in 9th and 10th, going to be Cole Sacchetti.
Nick Holland able to recover after being a lap down at one point, being involved in a couple of incidents in 11th. Christopher Norris, who was doing a great job filling in for that of Andrew Medlin, gets spun on the final lap, comes home in 12th. Brian Wilson able to have a great recovery run for himself, along with Sam Siegel. I mean, both of those guys involved in a couple of incidents, able to come home 13th and 14th. But I mean, further on down, Ken Campbell involved in a late wreck down there in 22nd. Philip Chavez was having a good run down there in 20th. It was just kind of a mixed night for some guys. Guys just got off to bad starts, weren't able to recover. Other guys able to recover after some spins. And all in all, Sam, what an exciting race. 3 weeks back-to-back that we've had green-white checkered finishes. Next week's Michigan. I mean, thoughts on a 4th potential green-white checkered finish next week?
I mean, if we had the finish that we had at Auto Club, I am so excited for Michigan. I cannot wait to see how that race is going to go, especially on the fact of how many drivers that are in almost a must-win scenario have said they're excited for Michigan. I got to say, next week might be my favorite race to be hyped for. And even with the last couple of weeks we've had, I think next week could be the best of them all.
I mean, if Auto Club's anything to go off of with how competitive and close that race was, going into the sister track in Michigan, I'm right there with you. I cannot wait to get there next week and see what happens, especially, with drivers like Austin Call and these guys, Cameron Sarton, guys further on down in points that are in must-win situations, essentially, to get into the playoffs.
And also, Andrew Medlin going to be coming back. He's going to be in a very much dig out of the biggest hole you could be in going into these next couple of weeks to try to make a late dive into the playoffs. Should be a good one, and we are excited for it. You also heard from the drivers in the interviews. We have ourselves a podcast going on once a month. We have a deep dive called the Cool Down Lap, where we get to talk to the drivers of all the different leagues that we cover here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, as episode 2 came out last week. Also, today just came out the segment where our very own Trevor Earhart got to talk to that Travis Dart about that of the Full Send Racing Series. Go check it out if you haven't already. And I got to say, Trevor, you did a great job with that interview. It's always great to get those deep dive with the drivers we get to watch day in and day out.
Well, thank you for that. Definitely a little late there getting it done. Had some events come up, but hey, we got it done, got it out. It was great sitting down talking to Travis runs a great league here at Full Send. I mean, the racing these guys put on, Sam, week in, week out, you can't say more about it. It's so fun to cover them and get to learn more about the drivers. Definitely looking forward to our next guest for next month's episode of the podcast.
Can't wait for the April version of the Cool Down Lap. Cannot wait. We're already trying to get it set up, all the interviews, get them in line, and get it to you publicly as well. Just getting started on myself. We are preparing for on Monday night ISRC. They are having the long run. They're getting prepared for their playoffs for season 4, and plenty of other series we cover are getting prepared for the playoffs. So you can have a lot of cannot miss content throughout the week. So remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and remember hit that bell notification button to make sure you are notified for every single time we go live or piece of content is uploaded. Our next broadcast is going to be tomorrow night. Wednesday is the Wicked Racing League with the Next Gen Cup cars. Then on Thursday, we've got the Stars and Stripes drivers and the ARCA machines. Saturday, going to be the WSSR Next Gen Cup cars. Monday's the ISRC Truck Series as their playoffs begin. And then we're right back here. We've talked about it. We're hyped for it. It is Michigan. Cannot wait for the Full Send Racing Series. These truck drivers put on a show here tonight, and we applaud you to the audience for joining us. We thank every single viewer that came to watch our broadcast here tonight and to cheer on the drivers. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Trevor Earhart, for Robert Moyer Jr., who ran productions here tonight, and everyone else at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for watching. We'll see you on our next broadcast tomorrow night. It's Richmond for that of the Wicked Racing League.